Well, we talk a lot about Route 66, and certainly a great event coming up, and one of our favorite people here to join us to talk about the Route 66 Miles of Possibility conference coming up. And, it's been in spots around the state, Bloomington and what have you, and now right here in our territory in Edwardsville. And looking forward to that event opening. Easy to remember the opening date, Halloween. And, well, again, thanks for joining us, Cheryl Eichar Jett.
Good evening, Sean. Well, we're very happy to be back in Edwardsville for this year's Miles of Possibility because Edwardsville is where the event actually began. We held the first Miles of Possibility conference at the Wild Eight Theater in Edwardsville in 2015.
And it's just been such a great economic generator for downtown Edwardsville. And, boy, really it's just been a great host to events that are big and yet small enough to be personal. It's just a great venue for a lot of music, but a lot of non-music events, too.
That's really true. Since I've lived in Edwardsville, which has been, I guess, 12 years now, to me, the Wild E Theater, like you say, it's a fabulous music venue. We know there's so many people that come over from St. Louis, come down from Springfield, etc., to attend concerts. But I always kind of think of the Wild E also as sort of the center of the community in a way, because there's some community produced things and they do a annual sort of a fashion show, and the League of Women Voters has an event there, every election. So kind of the center of the community as well.
Now, I know when you say Miles of Possibility Conference, I know sometimes people don't understand. They think, oh, well, I need to own a business, or I need to be somehow have skin in the game when it comes to Route 66, the Mother Road, and that's not the case at all.
Absolutely. We really have a mixture of people from all different careers and all walks of life that attend, and the common denominator for all of them, of course, obviously, is Route 66, the famous Mother Road. But we have people that work in just all sorts of different jobs and careers. We do have people sometimes come that have Route 66 businesses. We have people that are interested in tourism or work in tourism. So yeah, it's a mixture, and it's simply the Mother Road that brings them together. One kind of interesting fact about our attendees. The number changes, per year, but we generally have between 35 and 50% of our attendance each time. That's returning attendees. So even though we don't attract a real big crowd, we have a very dedicated crowd.
And it's a real nice, diverse mix of activities. Some can be maybe a little more listen to a lecture, and more others just kind of, it's almost like a car show, even if there aren't cars involved, like the art gallery, images of cars, and the art gallery and author book signing, a nice addition to the conference this year.
Yes, we're really excited about that. And I did want to mention, too, when the word conference, if that scares anybody, we're not going to make you sit in a classroom 8 hours a day and take notes. We have fun speakers. We have a lot of fun at this event. And there's plenty of social activities and networking. So I got that out there. So we are excited about the art gallery. At 2 or 3 different years' events, we have had a room full of vendors, and that's fun too. But this year we thought that we'd keep it a little more simple, and so we have one photographer and one artist, and then we'll have about 7 or 8 authors signing books.
So that's good stuff on Friday and Saturday, And I mean, that's a neat thing too for people who maybe haven't checked it out before and would kind of like to sample. It's almost like you're like Sam's Club or something. You've got free samples, free admission for those parts of the event.
Yeah, exactly. So we really do have a variety of things, and we've got the trolley tour on Thursday morning. Now that is a required separate ticket because the trolley has to be paid. But we have that. We've got a tour, weather permitting, of Cahokia Mounds on Sunday morning, if we don't get rained out. And so really a nice mix of events. So I think there's something for everybody.
Scott Evers, understand he's just a special photographer, and I know the interest in Route 66 photography has certainly shot up with the monuments and the murals and everything. I mean, not only in this area, but elsewhere. And you appreciate what you see on social media. But when you see someone, a pro, capture the magic, that's when you realize, that's when you get the wake-up call. You're not a professional photographer, and you really appreciate what a artist like that can do.
Isn't that the truth? He is wonderful. He does the photography for Great Rivers and Routes Tourism Bureau. So he gets a good workout getting great photos of, like you say, the murals and the monuments and 66 events. So it's very fun to have him. So he'll be displaying some of his work. I haven't seen which ones he's bringing in, but I know there'll be good ones. And so he'll be displaying, and of course his work is for sale. And then our other artist is Benjamin Lauder. I don't know if you know Benjamin. He is an expert on Buckminster Fuller and the geodesic dome. And he works as director of the Center for Spirituality and Sustainability on our SIUE campus, which is housed in our Buckminster Fuller dome on the campus, which was designed by Fuller and constructed on the campus in 1971. So Ben is also one of our speakers, and he's going to speak on Fuller and on the geodesic dome. And then his artwork reflects geodesic and geometric principles. He takes old highway signs. Here's the connection. He takes old metal highway signs and pieces them together in geometric fashion. It's a little hard to describe, but they really are a knockout to see. They're very beautiful.
Kind of in that neighborhood of the pop art that we're seeing more and more in the art museums.
A little bit, but they have this geometric quality to them, which is sort of very intriguing.
So the book signings, you get a great mix of authors, and Joe Sonderman, and know personally one of my favorites, but you get a great mix and great perspectives.
Absolutely. We've got Joe, and of course he's written about 1 bazillion books so far. He's got a new one out about St. Louis. Then we've got Jim Hinckley from Kingman, Arizona, and he is a prolific author. He's probably right up there with Joe in the bazillion number. And so Jim will have a lot of his books there. We have Anne Morrow Slanina from Pennsylvania, and she is a children's book author. She's done the Annie Mouse series of Route 66 books for children. So, we've got, I think, about 7 or 8 that are going to participate, because a good share of our speakers are authors as well. Oh, and I have to include Bill Eisminger, a career archaeologist from Cahokia Mounds. I worked with Bill there for a number of years when I worked at the Mounds. And Bill's got a couple books, so he'll be bringing his too. So,
well, it's just it's good stuff, and the keynote speaker, I love his story. It's so neat what he does. One Joel Baker. I mean, I've been fascinated with. All of a sudden, I'm blanking out on what they call the
The American Giants or the Muffler Man?
Thank you, Muffler Man. Yeah. Well, one of my favorite things out there when you talk about Route 66 icons, and I think of Livingston, Illinois in particular, the Muffler Man. I remember when Springfield had tornadoes, and the tornado took the Muffler Man. Well, not a pleasant thing, but it's not a human being. Decapitation occurred, and
that's true. He did get repaired.
Yeah, they were determined. It's like, no, this is not something we're just going to ignore. This guy is a part of our business over at Lauterbach Tire up there in Springfield, and they put him together. And after 9/11, he didn't handle a tire anymore. He handled an American flag, and I just think it's the neatest thing. And and again, just like so many things, like great buildings that people just didn't see the value in, and they went to a wrecking ball. I know that I guess the Muffler Man fell out of favor, and he does a great job of not only repairing but finding some of these muffler men that maybe aren't in great shape and restoring them to prominence.
Isn't it the truth? We are so fortunate to have Joel Baker for our keynote speaker this year, because this has been a real big year, the past year or so, for the Muffler Man for a number of reasons. And Joel is, like you say, he is a boots on the ground guy. He finds them. He photographs them. He videos them. He started a company that restores them. He goes around and speaks about them, and he's an expert on them. So it's going to be very, very, very fun. We had talked about, in the last few years, we've come up with a theme for each year's conference. So people kind of got a little bit of insight, into the majority of what we're going to focus on. So we came up with the idea of the theme for this year of Giants of Route 66, because down here we don't just have Muffler Men giants. We've got the world's largest Katzebau. We've got Monk's Mound at Cahokia Mounts. We've got the St. Louis Arch. So we're sort of blessed with giant things down here already. And like you say, up at the Pink Elephant in Livingston. So Joel was just a natural choice. And so that's really fun. And he'll be talking about some of the giants up at Atlanta, Illinois, in the new American Giants Museum. So that'll be fun.
That's something. I hadn't been in Atlanta for quite a while. It's, about 50 miles north of Springfield. And I had a friend whose dad operated one of the bars there downtown, and I went there and I thought, this little town has this incredible architecture, the library. Even if you're not from there, the county museum fascinated me. But then they have the giants sprinkled throughout, and seeing ones that are halfway through repairs or whatever. But boy, the Gemini Giant story. I know the Gemini Giant. He's the green spaceman holding the rocket that Illinois has had in all its tourism materials, folks, and That was special, because not only did he take on a repair job, but it was like the State Department was involved. And we won't get too deep in the weeds, but really some diplomacy, and not only with the previous owners of the Giant, but the locals, assuring them that it was coming back, and how passionate he was. This was not a deal of, let's take the Gemini Giant down to my museum.
Exactly. We could spend the next week talking about the Gemini Giant story, which I know you know that. But let's just say that the giant was sort of like a pet or a child that's in a home that needs to be removed. The Gemini Giant needed to be removed from its home for its safekeeping. And so there were many people and a number of organizations, as you mentioned, that came together. And for the most part, there was a lot of secrecy in the plan to get Gemini Giant rescued. And interestingly, I've forgotten what month it was, but it was during the summer when the American Giants Museum opened, had its grand opening in Atlanta. I was there, by the way, and it was a really fun weekend. And the Gemini Giant visited Atlanta for the grand opening because he was on a trailer headed to the American Giants workshop, repair shop, to get a makeover before he gets installed in a new spot in a park up in Wilmington, his hometown, on November 30th. So wow. It was fun to have him visit.
And I know he's been a monster on social media, and it's and it's like he's a treasure hunter, looking finding out whether a muffler man can be salvaged. I know he's had an incredible number of hits in that realm. Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, so the grand opening was really exciting. I saw people there that I knew from around the country. They had a good attendance, and was a fun weekend. They had activities for several days, so the little town of Atlanta was, really hopping for one weekend. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you, and I just the speaker lineup there's something to entertain everyone. Even if you're a person who's maybe not a Route 66 fanatic, you've got an Oklahoma 66 individual. I love the Casey Claypool aspect because, she's on the PR end with Route 66 Scenic Byway, and she bought in, owning docks over there in Girard, and boy, puts a lot of effort into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have Casey Claypool and also Jeff Ladd, who's assistant director at the Byway, so we'll have both of them. We'll have Bill Thomas there. We'll have Kaiser Bartuli from National Park Service, who is part of the Route 66 Preservation Unit of the National Park Service. And so they are going to be giving updates on the Route 66 Centennial, which, of course, is coming up before we know it, the year of 2026.
Well, and I can't say enough about Corey Jobe. I've known Corey for years, and boy, he has just put a big dose of energy into area tourism. Great Rivers and Routes has been an incredible success story under his leadership.
Absolutely. It just seems like they're on fire over there in that office. They have done so much in the last several years since Corey's been down. And of course, this is a really good place for me to say that we would not have an event like this in Edwardsville without the city of Edwardsville, who has been so gracious to us and provided the Wildy Theater for us to bring our crowd in. And the staff there is just incredible and so nice and gracious to us. And without Great Rivers and Routes, who is also supporting us, who are sponsors of this year's event. So grateful thanks to everybody involved.
Well, a great chance for exposure for the Illinois Coal Mining Museum. That's good stuff.
Absolutely. And that's such an Illinois Route 66 story. I know coal mining isn't like the first thing that pops into your mind when you say Route 66, but for Illinois Route 66, that big vein of coal pretty much, runs right along where Route 66 ended up.
And the ketchup bottle is just one of those things. I know you referenced it. And I know the Big Tomato by Gassman and Judy DeMoisy real well, and they're always a treat. And I know there was great work to get the bottle restored there a number of years ago, and it's not too often you see someone get involved in that kind of project. and then stay on like they have. And I know that's just one of those things that just spans the generations. I mean, like when it was referenced in one of those Twilight movies, I thought that's pretty special.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think a lot of people feel the same way. It's so fun to hear the backstory on some of these places because a lot of times people, especially from different parts of the country, they don't always know, the backstory. Why is this here? How did it get saved? Why is it still standing? And so it'll be fun to hear that story told.
It sure seems like Edwardsville is taking on Route 66 more as part of their identity, even though it's this trendy place with all the hip, expensive architecture, restaurants, and everything else. The West End service station. I hear more about Edwardsville and 66 in the same breath.
That's really fun, and that's really gratifying to me because, of course, I've been sort of talking about that topic for a period of time, and Corey has done so much to make that happen, and the city of Edwardsville has been very receptive to that, and one particular alderman has really stepped in to help to save things like the West End station. So, and we're looking forward to being able to show the West End station to our conference attendees because Great Rivers and Roots is hosting a reception for our people. So that'll be fun.
I know County Historical Society museums have their audience. And there are a lot of people who it's kind of just something they wouldn't think about doing. And sometimes you kind of have to give them a nudge. And then all of a sudden they wonder why they never went there before. And boy, just a great opportunity to discover the Historical Society Museum with their exhibit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went up to see it last week, and they've got a real nice exhibit, and that's going to be one of our stops on the Thursday morning trolley tour, we'll stop at the museum, which is partially, of course, open now after all the renovations. And so our people along on the trolley tour can see the local Route 66 exhibit, which have done a really nice job on. And then the County Historical Society is doing their annual Dining in History event on Sunday. And so they're Route 66 oriented this year. So it's another nice option if our people want to stay over on Sunday and attend dinner. And also a program. Two people that are giving the program for Dining in History, and that would be Joe Sonderman and me.
Well, I know it's tough to come by, but maybe it's a sellout by now, but I'll find out from you checking on the big concert on Friday. It's been a hot ticket. You talk about regulars returning. Robbie Robinson and the Route 66 band. I know they're in Litchfield on Thursday, celebrating Halloween, and going to rock and pack the house again on Friday.
They certainly are. We're very happy that we could get them back again between Al Canal at the Wildie and Robbie and me. We tried to make it happen to coincide with Miles of Possibility again this year as it did last year. So very, very fun. And yes, I hope you've got your ticket because it is sold out.
Well, I understand there are discount opportunities as far as tickets to the event.
That's right. We've got a last-minute promo special going on right now, $25 off each 3-day conference ticket. So that sort of helps people out a little bit, and I think it's a little prompt to get signed up if they haven't already. And you don't even have to remember and enter the promo code. It's automatic, so when you go to Eventbrite, it just pops up for you. So It's a pretty easy deal. So people can just go to Route 66, milesofpossibility.com, and there's a big red button near the top of the homepage for you to click on, and it will take you to Eventbrite where you can get your ticket for the conference. And that's for the 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the Wiley.
Anything else we need to know about the Miles of Possibility conference?
Well, we can give you a little preview of the next 2 years. So next year in October, don't have the specific dates yet, it will be held in the Joliet area. And in 2026, which of course is the Route 66 Centennial, celebrating 100 years since it was commissioned, and it will be in Springfield, Illinois, and that is going to be a big blowout event.
Well, look forward to it, and well, thanks for all that you do, and just tell us about your, folks who would like to discover your books.
Oh, absolutely. I have done 6 books, 4 of them on Route 66, working on 2 more books. One is an Illinois travel book. One is a long-term project on the careers and the work, such as serving up pie and coffee on the route that women did during the historic, Route 66 era. And got a new book coming out actually next year that I wrote the Illinois chapter on. It's an anthology, and I'm not sure even of the title yet, but it should be out about this time next year. And I was involved with that project along with Joe Sonderman, Jim Hinckley, who will be one of our speakers, Reese Martin from Oklahoma, that will be one of our speakers, and a couple other gentlemen. So that's what I've got going on. And you can also go to my website. That's CherylEicherJett.com.